In this video we'll be traveling from the airport of Dubai to the railway station of Dubai. That wasn't finished yet at the moment I recorded this. The metro is by far the best way to get around in Dubai, because if you travel by car, and especially during rush hour, you most likely end up in a traffic jam anyway. You can build as many lanes if you want, but the metro is just more efficient. Join me as we travel along the Dubai metro. I'm not in Dubai right now, I'm in Taipei. I'll tell you a little bit more about that later on, but long story short, my audio wasn't working. I have a new camera, I bought a cheap microphone. Never do that again, rather spend some more money, have good quality. Anyway, we travel along the Dubai metro from the airport to the main railway station of Dubai, and this metro also calls at some important major stations where you find intercity buses. I'll tell you all about that in the video, but for now, let's get this video on the track and let's roll the intro. My wife is originally from Taiwan and we have a little baby, so we wanted to visit Taiwan and show the baby to the family-in-laws in Taiwan as well. Because we didn't want to have one long flight from the Netherlands to Taiwan, we decided to travel via Dubai and have some days here as well, since we are here anyway. Even my parents joined for this trip, where it was also their first time to visit Taiwan. And I have to say, by breaking up the journey and also reducing the jet lag, it was really nice, I have to say. And Dubai would otherwise not be the kind of city I would go to for a holiday in general, so this way I can see this as well. Anyway, back to the topic of this video. Let's talk about the metro, and most likely if you arrive here by plane, you do arrive with Emirates, what is by far the biggest airline over here. The airport of Dubai has several terminals, and most terminals do have their own metro station. This here is at the terminal for Emirates, and directions to the metro have been marked crystal clear, you basically can't miss that. Also, directions to the taxis and even public buses and hotel shuttles have been marked pretty clear, but the metro has been marked slightly better, I have to say. You find the metro station right next to the terminal building of the airport, and you find escalators, of course stairs, but if you have a lot of luggage, the elevator might be a bit better. This was especially nice if you have, for example, a push car like what we had when we arrived here. Access from and to the metro station at the airport is pretty good. The airport has different levels for arrivals and departures, and to both levels this is excellent. If you arrive at the metro station, and this counts basically for all stations, there are clear screens with information about departing metros. Most stations do have a staffed ticket counter as well. And apart from that, there are vending machines where you can buy tickets as well. Access to the platforms is obviously, and this is for many metro systems, with the use of access gates. You can buy a so-called NOL card, and you have this for gold class or silver class. Basically, you find two different classes in the Dubai metro and even in the Dubai tram. Gold class is of course pricier, but it's a kind of first class. And to be honest, if it's worth the money, I can't decide this for you. This also depends of course on how much you have to spend. But I have to say, especially for filming, I really preferred to travel on board the gold class. And I know I'm talking from a very privileged Western European perspective, but to be honest, gold class is still pretty affordable to travel on. I'll tell a little bit more about prices later on in the video. This is one of the metros arriving at the airport of Dubai. However, before we continue, let's take a closer look on the route map for today. We'll be traveling along the Red Line. The Red Line has a total length of 67.1 kilometers and has 35 stations. There are two bronze lines at the Red Line as well, so basically it splits up at a certain point. You also find the Green Line at the moment of recording, and soon there will be two other metro lines launched as well. That will be the Blue and the Gold Line. At the moment of editing and recording, you can find two different kinds of trains. Even though the differences are not that big. The older metro trains have been produced by the Japanese train manufacturer Kinki Sario. And these trains are most common. You find 79 of them at this moment. And then you find 50 trains that have been produced by the French train manufacturer Alstom. Even though at first the differences between these trains are not that big, the French trains have a slightly higher capacity. simply because there are slightly less seats available, so there's more standing space. When it comes to the Gold class, there are some minor differences as well, and I will show you in this video. The metro trains themselves do obviously not have toilets. However, I noticed that pretty much all metro stations do have toilets as well, and this includes an accessible toilet and also a diaper changing facility for if you're traveling with a little baby. And we also used it during one of the trips. The toilets I noticed were clean and the access to the toilets is for free. I mean, in Europe it's not even common to have toilets within metro stations, let alone clean and free toilets. There are dedicated areas for women and children only, and this has been marked crystal clear at the platform. This is basically one carriage of these metro trains. Also, the line maps have been marked pretty clear at the stations as well, and these metros are fully automated. Also, the doors do line up perfectly with the doors at the platform. For the underground stations, well, this is nice, but especially for the stations that are above ground, what is by far the majority, this also means that all these stations are very well air conditioned. Like I already mentioned, you will find two classes on board of the metro in Dubai. The woman only area is in the so-called silver class, and also within the trains this has been marked pretty clear. The interior of the train. Now once again you will find two kinds of trains, but the differences are not that big. These are the older trains, and in the older trains there are some seats facing in the driving direction or on the way back. The newer trains do not have this, therefore they have less seats but a higher capacity. In terms of comfort, I mean these are metro trains and no long distance trains, but for a metro train I have to say the comfort is pretty reasonable. Also, these trains do provide more standing places than places where you can take a seat for obvious reasons, because these are high capacity vehicles. However, you do find priority seats, and route information has been given crystal clear at screens at the ceiling. And apart from that, also at the ceiling between the carriages you do find some LED screens that will host route information. Even though these metros do operate between the train station and the airport, these trains are mainly being used for commuters. However, you still find some dedicated luggage racks as well within the silver class, what can be very convenient. And that's over here. In the newer metros this is pretty similar. Speaking of the newer metros, what I really like are the interactive line maps right above the entrance doors. These screens will not only host route information in English and Arabic, but will also show some information about the stations. So where or what facilities, basically where's the elevator, where's the escalator, so you know in what way you have to go if you arrive at the station. Once again, all information is in English and Arabic. The current newer metro trains can be found mainly along the green line, although you might find all train types on all lines, so this is not something you can count on. And with new lines opening, I'm sure there will be new metro trains as well. This here is the Gold class on board of the newer metro trains. As you can see, this is way more spacious and the seats are much more comfortable over here, I have to say. This here is the accessible area in Gold class, but you also find an accessible area in the Silver class. For luggage, you can place it here, and what I really like about these newer metro trains in the Gold class is that you really face forward into, well, like a kind of the train driver. This here is the interior of Gold class for the older metro trains you will find mainly on the red line. For the airline style seats in the older trains, you do find some small tables you can fold out to work on a laptop, for example, what I like a bit more. I have a little part for this without a voiceover and without the good microphone where I tell you more.
This is a rare moment. I have the entire Gold class car to myself at this very moment. I'm near a terminal station, off-peak, and this is at the very front or the back of the train. And what I like about this is that you have these views. Depending on the way the train is moving, if it's moving from the airport to the city, you're at the front, and otherwise if you move from the city to the airport, this is at the back of the train. In the normal class, standard class, you have the same situation. However, over there it's in the total front or back of the train, and that's the woman's only compartment. So I can't go there, even not if I'm traveling with my family. My wife can go there with my kids, but I can't go there. Anyway, this here is the gold class. You pay literally double the price. If it's worth the money, I don't know, that's up to you. I will tell you more about this with the use of a voice-over.
Well, I already shared my opinion if it's worth traveling in gold class or not. By the way, even though I didn't test it out, all metros do provide free Wi-Fi. Anyway, I'll get back about ticket fares a little bit later on in this video, but for now I'll show you some views from the metro between the airport and the first point of interest, what is the metro station Union. From there on you do find a big bus station with quite a lot of intercity buses. Even though most of the metro line is above ground, in the area around Union Station and also for the Green Line you do find quite some underground stations. Just like the metro station of Union, where we will be arriving shortly. The hotel where we stayed was located along the Green Line, so we also had to change here. And when I went out to film this trip report in the morning, I noticed that the rush hour can be pretty hectic over here. Even though these trains do run very frequent, well, it's busy. Just take this in account and try to avoid the rush hour if you can. But still, the metro is by far the best way to travel around even during rush hour. And even though I experienced some moments that gold class was pretty crowded as well and people had to stand, it's way less crowded than silver class, and especially during rush hour. However, we are at the metro station of Union to show you the intercity bus station that I will show you briefly in this video. However, before we do that, I hope you like this video so far, or that it's a helpful video to you, or both. If so, please give me a thumbs up, I really appreciate that. If you have some questions, feedback, comments, or even if you just want to say hello, feel free to leave a comment, of course. And if you'd like to see more trip reports about more sustainable ways of transportation, the main focus for this channel is long distance and or international traveling, mainly by train, sometimes bus and even sometimes ferry, but don't confuse ferries with cruises, because cruises are not sustainable at all, but ferries are quite sustainable. Anyway, if you'd like to see more, then hit that subscribe button if you haven't done this already. For now, let's continue with this video. Even though there will be a railway service launched at the moment of editing and recording in the United Arab Emirates soon, and probably if you watch this video there will be trains already, and this railway service will not only be domestically but will also provide international connections, the intercity buses from Union Station will still be very interesting because they will serve mainly places that are not very well connected by the new train connection. I recorded a trip report on these buses as well, probably I will publish this video as well. Buses to Abu Dhabi do not depart from this bus station, by the way, and of course there are more bus stations than only this one. I mean, the buses in the United Arab Emirates, they're pretty good to be honest, however the information is not that great because you have all these different Emirates and they do all have their own transportation authority. So in terms of working together, there can be a lot improved. However, when I took the bus, I also experienced how the traffic is over here. And this is also what I witnessed a lot from the metro and also the place where we stayed in our hotel. I mean, this is why trains are so freaking awesome. One metro line can handle more than a 10-lane highway. And even though a lot of people, especially local people, love their cars, I think you also have to admit that cars come with a lot of downside. And especially in dense urban areas. I mean, to be honest, I don't even want to think about the fact that I need an ambulance here in Dubai or somewhere in the other areas north from Dubai, where it's very dense populated and where the traffic looks like this. Once again, cars are great, they can give you a lot of personal freedom of mobility. However, especially in dense urban areas, I think cars are just annoying and they cause for a lot of pollution. Also, the walkability is not always that great around here. I have to add up, by the way, the shots of the traffic you see here are mainly in other Emirates and not in Dubai. But in Dubai it honestly doesn't look much better. So this is why the metro is such a great thing, and this is also why it's so great that they will build more metro lines. Anyway, also at the bus station of Union, there are some waiting areas as well, where you can wait cool inside. There are quite some screens with information about departing buses, and there are some information desks as well. Public toilets can be found here as well. And quite a lot of regular bus stops, and especially in Dubai. Or like this. These are bus stops that are fully air conditioned, because you don't want to wait outside over here, and especially not in the extremely hot summers. Also, all buses do have air conditioning, by the way, thank goodness. I mean, in that sense, they really took good care of this. Once again, probably there will be another video about intercity buses within the United Arab Emirates. But for now, we continue our journey with the metro from Union Station to the metro station that's closest to the railway station of Dubai. At the very end of this video, I'll get back to ticket fares, by the way. Here the train is arriving at the metro station closest to the railway station of Dubai, the railway station for Ethiad Rail. The metro station is called Jumeirah Golf Estate. Maybe this will be changed in the not too far away future, I don't know, would make a lot of sense. And the metro station is also underground, in an area where you find mainly above ground metro stations. They have some visions of the future when it comes to public transportation here in Dubai as well, and I think public transportation is really needed to be, well, more present in Dubai, because the roads are just too busy. The railway station though, it's a little walk from the metro station, so I think there will be a kind of a shuttle service in the not too far away future, because, well, it's just a little bit too much, and especially in the extremely hot summers over here. The Ethiad Railway project is going to be quite impressive though, especially from a technical perspective, because it needs to be able to resist the extreme heat, and also, well, they need to cope with a lot of sand in the desert. However, I really hope that Ethiad Rail is going to reduce especially short haul flights, because basically those flights are not needed at all, and public transportation is a good way to solve this. And this is also why I made this video from the airport to the railway station of Dubai. And hopefully I can reach out to people who wouldn't consider the train otherwise that frequent. You can find a lot of videos about this on my YouTube channel. The main focus for this YouTube channel is traveling on a more sustainable way of transportation, so mainly by train. And the main focus is long distance and or international traveling. Well, this metro line is not a short line, by the way, but it's definitely not a long distance. And hopefully I can be back in the Arabian Peninsula to make some more videos once the whole project has been finished. Not only Ethiad Rail, but also the railway line to Oman and the railway connection between the United Arab Emirates and Saudi Arabia. The metro station near the new railway station was at the moment when I was here pretty empty. However, I think this will change in the not too far away future. I really had my doubts if I should publish this video or not. I recorded this just before the situation between Iran and the United States escalated in early 2026. However, also the Ethiad Railway project, this will continue. Well, there will be a lot of more progress on this as well. So therefore I think it's also nice to publish this video now. About the fare systems. This is the current metro and also tram line as it is at this very moment in early 2026. From 2029 there will be another metro line added to this, and early 2031 or 32, I don't know exactly, there will be another metro line added to this. As you can see, the metro map has been divided in zones. You basically pay a fare for within one zone, 2 zones or 3 zones, but you never pay more than 3 zones if you're traveling by public transportation within Dubai. Even though the 4 zones route can only apply to 3 metro stations at this very moment. The green line is also getting pretty close to the Emirate of Sharjah. What is really a different emirate, but you don't really notice this at first because it's all one big city that's connected to each other. Dubai and Sharjah and, well, some more emirates a little bit north from Dubai. It's really dense populated over there. And these here are the fare systems for the metro and also other public transportation in Dubai. I think as a tourist, the prepay cards are most interesting. So I'm talking about the silver and the gold class cards. And these cards for public transportation are called the null cards. Once again, if it's interesting to buy the gold class, that's totally up to you. I even saw one video of someone with arguments to, well, have the gold class, that it's status. Well, personally, I'm not really into that kind of things. But I know status is very important for a lot of people who visit Dubai. I'm more the kind of guy who likes to go into nature, and I think when it comes to this, the United Arab Emirates has quite a lot to offer where not a lot of people know about, so I'd love to go there one day in the future. However, because there are some people who really care about status, having this gold class can be very interesting for quite some people over here. There are not a lot of metro systems where you will find a higher class system. As far as I know, Dubai and Shenzhen in China are the only 2 places where you will find this. Let me know, how do you feel about different classes in metro trains and metro systems in general? Let me know in the comments, and also what you like to ride in the gold class, or do you prefer the silver class in this situation for Dubai? That's it for this trip report. I hope you liked it and or this has been helpful to you. If so, please give me a thumbs up, I really appreciate that. If you have questions, feedback, comments, even if you just want to say hello, feel free to leave a comment. And if you like to see more trip reports about more sustainable ways of transportation, the main focus for this channel is long distance and or international traveling, and hit that subscribe button if you haven't done this already. That's it for now. See you on the next trip report. Once again, thank you for watching. Related videos can be found in the description of this video. And something else you find in the description of this video is a link to a map. And on this map you can find all videos as well, but then on a map. And the next video on this channel, I promise you, this will be on a train again. For now, thanks for watching and see you on the next one.